stressful life you could ever imagine. He's married to Miss Rosette. These are the brothers, Rossetti brothers, and this is Angelo, and that's right. They're the holders of 2 Guinness Book World Records. Okay, so we're going to talk to you a little bit today about how they got to the book, what they have to do to accomplish getting into the Guinness Book, what it takes to get in there, and give you some tips, hopefully, for setting your own goals and calling for your own goals. So please give a warm welcome to the book.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Are you excited?
Yes.
Wait, I didn't hear that. Are you excited?
Yes.
That's it. Okay, I'm not going to talk about myself, but I'm going to introduce my identical twin brother. His name is Ettore Rossetti. He has a mustache, if you haven't noticed. His day job is he works in Fairfield, Connecticut at Save the Children. It's a world-renowned charity. He is the Senior Director of Digital Marketing and Social Media. But he also works at Weston Racket Club for me on Sundays, teaching tennis all day. He is the past former #1 men's open doubles in 2007. And he had a really good doubles partner. It happened to be me. But anyway, he is the holder of 2 Guinness Book of World Records. Please welcome Ettore Rossetti.
I'd like to introduce my older brother, my twin brother, Angelo. He was born 10 minutes before me and did know everything he said except for the mustache. No. So back in 2007, he was the Player of the Year in New England in doubles, and he was the Tennis Teacher of the Year that same year. He serves as Director of Tennis at the Weston Racket Club. It's owned by Yvonne Lendl, one of the best tennis players of all time, who now coaches the player Andy Murray. He also is a 2-time Guinness World Record holder. And our story is about having a dream and setting goals. And we're going to tell you that through storytelling.
Okay, so before we show the 2 videos, we have a 9-minute video and a 2-minute video. And then we're going to talk about the story, and you want to pay attention really carefully to what we say, because we have prizes, a box of prizes. And we're going to ask trivia questions at the end. And if you get the question correct, and you got to raise your hand first, then we'll give you a prize. With that said, we know there's a lot of eager participants today, so you can only win 1 prize. So if you win a prize, then if you know the answer to the next question, just don't raise your hand so you give everyone else a chance. And then after that, when we're done with giving away the prizes, we have a handout for you which has some tips on setting goals and how to accomplish your dreams, and also some suggested readings. And then on the back side, there's an inspirational tennis article. But then you're going to line up, and everyone's going to line up in single file. The faculty can help, and you're all going to rally with a Guinness World Record holder. So when you leave here today, you can say, I rallied with a Guinness World Record holder. So we have 1 racket that we're going to share for safety reasons, not a racket for everyone. And you're going to hit 1 shot over the net. And we'll rally it back, and then you give your racket to the next player. So we'll organize that at the end. So at least you're going to be involved. So with that said, we're going to play the first movie.
guys are great. You seem like you're nice guys. And I tell you what, you're the kind of guys going for something and the kind of guys I would root for.
A world tennis record is smashed. Twins in Shelton, Connecticut volleyed 14 hours and 31 minutes, breaking the Guinness World Record and raising money for 4 different charities.
Besides sheer determination, they say twin power will get them through.
You have to really be a team that is an inseparable bond.
And despite 25,944 strokes of cramped muscles, dehydration, and fatigue, the real goal was always in these hometown heroes' minds.
Our barriers that we overcame in 14 hours and 31 minutes pale in comparison to the barriers that the victims of these diseases face.
Rossetti Brothers hope to finish sometime after midnight. The challenge is also a fundraiser, and all the money that they raise will go to 4 different charities.
We wanted to combine philanthropy with the sport of tennis and giving back to the community.
hopefully we inspire you to get a dream, goal set, goal get, and give back. Okay, so when our friend got sick, we wanted to honor his legacy, and we wanted to do something really special. So Etcherai was getting his oil changed, and he saw a book on the counter.
It was a Guinness World Record book. And I remembered as a kid having a dream. Wow, wouldn't it be cool to be the best in the world at something and make it in the Guinness World Record book? I didn't know how, I didn't know when, I didn't know with whom, but I thought that would be cool, that's a big dream. And in that moment, now as an adult, I realized, wait a minute, I have the sufficient inspiration to attempt to make that dream a reality. So I said, Angelo, do you want to attempt a Guinness World Record for the longest tennis rail?
Yeah, and I said, yeah. We both said it at the same time on the telephone because we were saying we wanted to honor Scott. We were still bummed out by it. So we said, what can we do to honor his legacy? And we said, let's set a Guinness World Record. So that was in 2006. So we flipped through the book and we said, let's find the easiest tennis record. So we saw one that was 10,000 serves without a double fault. Who knows what a double fault is? Yes?
It's serving twice and getting it up.
Yeah, you have to serve twice. You got a first serve and a second serve. If you miss both, unfortunately, you lose the point. And that's a double fault. So about 10,000 serves without a double fault. That was pretty tough. Another one was hold 20 balls in one hand without having it touch your wrist. We thought that was fairly impossible. So we came to the mutual conclusion that, guess what? It's a world record. None of them are easy. So let's pick the most real one. So we found the longest tennis racket. And it was 16,464. And we said, okay, that's tough, but that's doable. Let's go out and practice. So without telling our wives, we would sneak off to the Hamden High tennis court after work before we got home, and we would attempt to practice for an hour. And we said, let's practice different methods. So on our first day of practice in 2006, we say, okay, let's practice. So we hit the ball, and then we attempt to do a practice rally. We're seeing what our focus would be like after an hour, how the ball would bounce after an hour, what our muscles would feel like. And then, after about 5 minutes, I made a mistake. So we said, oh, maybe that was because we were talking. Let's try it again. So we tried it again. So we tried some different things. So maybe I stand a little closer, then we can get the world record faster. So we're practicing like this. And then, after a few more minutes, another miss into the net. So the very first practice was a complete failure. We missed about 6 times in 1 hour. So we said, oh boy, this is going to be tougher than we thought. But we already set the date, and we already started to organize a committee to raise money for 4 charities. So we said, it's too late to turn back down. We have to do this. So we said, okay, we'll do it. So we practiced a few more times, always having a miss. Okay? And all of the misses were in the net. The day comes in Milford, Connecticut in 2007 where we have this great idea. We said, let's do a world record rally and raise money for charity, and let's donate our time the whole day and teach tennis lessons. So that's what we did. My brother and I taught tennis lessons 6 hours without a break, starting at 9 a.m. Then around 3 p.m. we played a doubles pro-am against the former number 7 in the world, the silver medalist Tim Mayock, and our friend Isidro. After playing about an hour of a Pro-Am, then we said, okay, now we can start our world record rally at 4:30 p.m.
So we had a good goal. Our goal was to get at least 17,000 strokes consecutively without missing. And we even had a date. So the goal was good. But was the planning good? No. Right. So we had a bad plan. We were tired, we were sweaty, and we didn't have a lot of energy. But nevertheless, we started our intent.
So I started with a serve. All the rallies previously, the 14,000 rally, they started with a hand feed. And we said that's kind of not real. So we were the first ones to come up with the idea to start with a serve. So we said, let's start with a serve to make it more like real tennis. So at about 4:30 p.m. on a Saturday, we were off to the races. I serve, he returns, and we continue to rally for approximately 2.5 hours. And then, after about 2.5 hours of our first attempt, Etere hits the ball in the bottom of the net.
So it was the first time that I thought about my stroke. After 2.5 hours, wow, this is not bad. Let me see what I'm doing. And I missed. When you're really good at something, you don't have to think about it, you just do it. And that comes with a lot of practice, whether it's schoolwork or whether it's sports. So big lesson learned. Don't think about what you're doing if you prepare properly, just go ahead and do it.
So, at about 6 p.m., we quickly took a bathroom break, and I said to my brother, geez, the bottom of the net? He missed the bottom of the net, it wasn't even the top of the net. We started the rally again at about 6 o'clock at night. I started with a serve. This was again our first attempt, our second attempt now. I served, and we proceeded to rally, and one of the goals was to get publicity for the 4 charities. So we wanted to make the 7 o'clock news. And we started at about 6. So we said, okay, that's a good goal. Let's make the 7 o'clock news. So we accomplished that short-term goal. We made the 7 o'clock news. Then we asked the audience who was supporting us, when is the next news broadcast? They said 11 p.m. We said, okay. So we rallied till past 11 p.m. Then we asked, when is the next broadcast? And in the meantime, Channel 2 and Channel 12 and Channel 8 were calling in and asking if we were still rallying because they wanted to know if they could finish the story. So we continued to rally past midnight, and we asked, when is the next news? They said 5 o'clock in the morning is the next news broadcast. So we rallied past 5 in the morning. So we accomplished that goal. Then, at about 5:09 a.m., I was getting really sleepy. And if you ask Miss Rossetti, she says I snore, but I will deny that. But I can't say that I was snoring, but I kind of dozed off while we were rallying, and I hit the ball into the top of the net. And unfortunately, we rallied for only 19,490 shots, a little bit over 10 hours. And the world record had since been broken. We originally told you it was about 14,000 when we first set out to do it in 2006. But by the time the event came in August of 2007, the world record now was 24,696. So unfortunately, we fell 5,000 strokes short of the world record. So to cheer each other up, we said, well, at least we can celebrate that we now have set the U.S. record. But that wasn't good enough for us because that wasn't really our original dream.
But the good news is, he turned a negative story into a positive story. If something bad happens to you in life, turn it around and make it something positive. It's called making lemonade out of lemons. Lemons are bitter, but you make lemonade, it actually tastes pretty good. So, failing to set a world record, the negative turned into a positive of setting a U.S. record. So Angelo reached out to the International Tennis Hall of Fame.
And I met with them and I said, you know, look at this ball. It hardly has any fuzz on it. Isn't it cool? Would you like to put it in the Hall of Fame? We set the U.S. record for the longest tennis rally. We hit it back and forth without missing 19,490 times. They said, wow, that's pretty impressive. We can put it in what's called the USTA wing. And those of you that know tennis, USTA is the United States Tennis Association. They said we can put it in the US wing. And, but we can't put it in the ITF wing. But if you set the world record, then we'll put it in the ITF wing, in the big museum. So we said, oh, that's a challenge. That's a challenge. So we decided, the moment that we missed, and also after talking with the Hall of Fame, we want to break the record the next year. So we gave ourselves a year. We gave ourselves a year to try to prepare and set the record. So in our training, one of our learnings was that we need to practice for more than just 1 hour. Another learning was that every miss, whether it was at Hampton High School or when we set the U.S. record, every miss was into the net. So we practiced with a double net. We put another net about this high, and we rallied over the double net. Because then that way, after rallying over the double net, we would be aiming higher, and when we got tired, and the ball naturally goes lower, then we would still make it over the net without making a mistake. So that's what we did. We trained something like this over a double net. A net is 3 feet high, so we were aiming over 6 feet high. But then if we were to, by accident, get tired and hit it a little lower like that, the ball would still clear the net. So that was one of our learnings of when we failed twice in 2007. So now, in preparing for 2008, we said, rather than have volunteers run us mini Powerades in the middle of the rally, it might distract us. Why don't we wear camelbacks on our back like cyclists do, and it has a little tube that clips to the inside of your shirt, and you could drink while you rally. We also set some power bars on the side so we can eat if we wanted to. So now, Saturday, August 9th rolls around. We said, let's get friends of ours, tennis pros, to volunteer and give the free tennis lessons, and we can focus on the rally itself. So we show up to North Haven, where I was the head pro, and at 9 a.m. we expected to start our rally. So what we didn't expect was there was video crews there and some news outlets, and they wanted to interview us before the rally. So we obliged and we interviewed for 30 minutes, and at 9:30 a.m. on Saturday, August 9th, 2008, we embarked on trying to set the world record for the longest tennis rally.
So then, our first challenge. As we were hitting, Angelo declares, "I'm getting hungry." So I reply, "Okay, go get a power bar. Let's count it down. 3, 2, 1, go." Get back. All right. But when he was recalibrating his trajectory, the arc of his shot, he overcompensated, and it hit the top of the net, and I ran up and saved it, and then sprinted back to the baseline, and I declared, "No more eating." So that was the first challenge.
That was after 11,000 strokes. in about 9 hours.
Then the next challenge.
We called that one the Power Bar Panic. The Power Bar Panic.
So then, as we're hitting, if you notice when you hit a proper tennis stroke, you're turning your hips. And as we were doing this, 12,000 times, the buckle in my camelback around my waist started to get loose. And then it started to slip down my waist, tying up my legs. And I said, Angelo, help, I can't move, hit it right to me. And using his incredible tennis skill, he hit it right to me. Then it was around my knees. So volunteers yelled out, pull off the straw, it's duct taped to your shirt, bite on it, so you can take it off. So it's down to my ankles now. And I did that, and I pulled it off. And I discarded to the side, and I declare, no more drinking.
That was called the Camelback Crisis.
So, in those two challenges, there will be challenges in life, but it's how you respond to those challenges is important. If you got knocked down, it's if you get up is what's important. So, we approach midnight, and 11 p.m. rolls around, and we were putting up, as you saw in the video, a K, where if you're following the World Series, what's a K? Yell it out. Strikeout. Strikeout. So in tennis, K also means in math 1,000, right? 1,000. There was 24,000 Ks. 24 Ks up on the wall, which means 24,000 strokes. We knew if we got to the 25th K, we would be Guinness World Record holders. And we'd honor those 25,000 kids every day who don't survive around the world. So that was our motivation. And we had kids ourselves. They were our motivation. So we rallied. And about 11:15 p.m. on Saturday evening, the 25th K goes up and everybody starts clapping. Go ahead.
Great job. Great job. So we had a plan though. We knew the record was 24,696. So we knew we had the record well in hand. Now the question was, when do we stop? But even though we are identical twins, we had the exact opposite response. Throughout the whole rally, I was kind of sleepy and meditating and focused. And he was the verbal coach. Etere said, hit it higher. No more eating. No more drinking. I hope you don't have to use the restroom. You know, positive things like that. So then, as soon as we set the world record, I was so excited, I was bouncing around. I can't believe it, we got the record. And I was running around like Rafael Nadal, if you follow tennis. He runs around a lot. And Etere had the opposite response. He said, I'm done. We can stop now. And all of the fans, and if you heard in the video, that was the actual clapping after midnight when we set the record. All of the fans said, no, keep going. Go as high as you can. So he said, on one condition, because I'm cramping, I can't move. Angelo, you're going to have to hit it right to me again. Just like I learned with the Camelback Crisis. So I did. So for 2,000 strokes, I hit the ball exactly to his racket, like that. For 2,000 strokes, right there, just like that. And right there, see how he doesn't have to move.
So then, what was funny was at 11:30 p.m., when the sports edition of the evening news came on, they announced that the Rossetti brothers had broken the Guinness World Record, and they were still going. So we were the last to know. People were cheering and saying, wow, cool, it's on the news. We're like, what's on the news? We're still going. So Angelo told me to give me an extra motivation. He said, we had promised everybody we would rally the entire day, and the day isn't over. It's 11:30 p.m. And you at least rally 30 more minutes. So I said, as long as you hit it right to me, okay, that's fine. So we kept going for 30 more minutes. And then the Guinness World Record official was there. So when we got to midnight, I said what you guys say in the back seat. Are we there yet? And the Guinness World Record said, no, according to my official watch, it is now 11:59, you have to rally for 1 more minute. So we said, oh, that was the longest 1 minute of our lives. But we kept going till 12:01 a.m. And then we remembered the 2 questions everyone asked us after the first attempt that we missed. 1, how did you go to the bathroom? And number 2, who missed? So we said, we want to make sure in our plans that we can answer both of those questions with nobody. And we didn't.
So I let the ball pass to my right without taking a swing, as you saw in the video, and we were world record holders. But the story doesn't end there. And just like in life, you'll have challenges and setbacks, you'll have records, and you'll have people that break your record. So that record held for 5 years. And that record was in the 2010 edition of Guinness World Records. Trey will show you a copy, you can pass it around. And there was a story and a photo. It lasted for 5 years. We were really satisfied, we had honored our friend, and we had accomplished what we set out to do. Ironically, we had written, a week before the world record, a press release. Who knows what a press release is? Who knows what a press release is? What's a press release? Yeah, it's a press story, what you write to the media. So the media was our motivation. So we wrote the story the week before August 9th, 2008. We wrote the story. Trey and Angela Rossetti, identical twin brothers from Connecticut, set the Guinness World Record for the longest tennis rally. They rallied over 15 hours and 30,000 strokes. We wrote that before we set the record. And what we did was we would read it and reread it until we believed it. Until we believed it would happen. It's kind of like predicting the future that you want. So we wrote it down. And then the only thing that changed when we sent that to the newspapers, that very same press release, was the exact number of strokes. And when I was talking to Trey about writing it, he said, well, what do we put down? It's got to be more than 24,696. He said, oh, 30,000. Put 30,000. Okay, 30,000. So we rallied for 25,944 strokes, and then I let the ball pass on purpose. We were pretty happy.
But then, about 6 years later, our birthday's in January. And you know how people on Facebook write happy birthday all the time. So one of our friends said, happy birthday, twin Guinness World Record holders. And then somebody from Germany wrote back, former. What kind of birthday present is that?
Yeah, and Miss Rossetti pointed it out to me. She was on my Facebook page and she said, you might want to check out your Facebook. I said, why? I think your record has been broken. So we did a little research. And lo and behold, it was true. 2 Germans, a father and a son, one of the former world record holders and his son, broke our world record for the longest rally. Now, they only rallied for a little bit over 9 hours. We rallied for 14 hours and 31 minutes. But according to Guinness World Records, the longest rally, even though they measure the time, is set by the number of consecutive strokes, not the time.
Unlike Ripley's Believe It or Not book, which we still maintain the longest tennis rally based on time.
Yes. So what the father and son did was they watched their video, that video, and they said, we're going to do what they did. We're going to start with a serve, but we're going to come up to the net, and we're going to see if we can hit a lot of volleys very quickly, because there's no way we can do it for over 14 hours. So they did a serve, they came to the net, and they volleyed like this. Okay, get really close. Nope, closer. No, closer. No, closer. No, closer. No, closer. 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 And they did this. So that's what we said. We said, no fair. No fair. That's not fair. That's not tennis. And for you tennis players out there, you know that's not real tennis. But it doesn't matter. It's the Guinness Book of World Records, not the Guinness Book of Tennis Records. So we said, let's take it as another challenge. Let's try to do something similar and reset the record. But our motivation has to be big. It has to be really big. So we said, what if we can go to a promotions company and we can get $1 million for charity if we break the record. So I negotiated a deal with this company in Las Vegas called Odds On Promotions. And we told them about what we wanted to do. And they said, that's impressive. They knew me from the past because we had put up $1 million for anyone that could break our record the next year in 2009 to raise money for charity. And so they said, yep, we will save the children directly $1 million if you break the record. But we're going to make it harder than the world record. And here's how we're going to make it harder. Number one is, on the exact day, which was August 8th of 2015, you have to break the record on that day. And oh, by the way, you only have 1 attempt. So if you miss your serve, too bad. And you have to not only break 50,970 strokes, which was the record, but you have to do it at a faster hourly rate than the current world record holders. So if you can average over 5,000 strokes an hour, set the record on 1 attempt over 50,970 on the day that you declare August 8th, we will give you $1 million. So we said, okay, let's try it. We thought at first, you know what, that sounds impossible. But if you break the word impossible into 2 words, I'm possible, then it can be possible. And we said, you know what, I'm possible. And we used a hashtag, #TwinsPossible. So that's what we did. So we started training in my garage and we said, you know what, we have to make sure that we hit 1 shot in 1.5 seconds. And 2 shots every 3 seconds, or we will not be on $1 million pace. So we got a playlist of songs that had a fast tempo, and we practiced our volleys really quick. So we would start with a serve, and we got to the net as quickly as we could. And then we started volleying, and then we started getting into our routine. And we timed ourselves, and we said, you know what? This is not bad. And we practiced for 1 hour at a time in my garage in the wintertime. And we practiced and practiced. We said, you know what? That's a pretty good practice, but it's not totally realistic. We need to try to sustain this for as long as we can without missing. It's like going to the moon. If it's never been done before, you don't know how to get there, but you're going to try. So we're shooting for the moon. And then we went to his tennis club. He had the keys. On Friday night, we would lock ourselves in, be the only ones in the building, and go as long as we can at the end of a business day. So we'd be somewhat fatigued to simulate what it'd be like after going for so long. And the first time we did this, we went for about 3 hours straight with the same playlist, back and forth, volleying like this at $1 million pace. But then something happened. My right wrist started to experience incredible pain.
I said, Ange, I can't go. He goes, you gotta keep going. This is like practice simulation, like what happens if that was the real rally? I said, all right, well then I would go with a two-handed volley to give my right hand some comfort. Notice I was a little more erratic. It's hard to do this, but I could wiggle my fingers and relax my muscles. So I did that to try to work. But after a few more minutes, the pain was unbearable. And I said, I can't continue this way. So finally he said, all right, well, I'll just go left-handed. Let me see if I can volley left-handed. I'm not left-handed. It's pretty hard to do. And this is like a simulation of what actually happened. It was pretty ugly. And then eventually I missed. And I was like, oh no. After 3 hours, well, at least we learned a lesson. I can't do the same technique for 3 hours straight. It was rapid onset carpal tunnel syndrome in my wrist. And I had a pulled ligament. And I was like, what do I do? So I went to a medical doctor, and he fitted me with an arm brace. And I said, all right, that could help. And we practiced again.
Yes, and the funny story about practicing was every Friday night, we would take it really seriously. We would practice in the club. And one evening, we broke our current world record of 25,944 strokes in practice. That was one of our short-term goals, to try to reset the world record. Another goal was, Mrs. Rossetti said I was overweight. So I lost 20 pounds in 2 months. And so that I accomplished that goal. Then she said, you have high cholesterol, I'm worried about you. Well, that one I couldn't really have a quick fix too. So I tabled that one. But we set these shorter-term goals to try to give ourselves the belief and confidence that we could set the record. So one time we rallied all the way till past midnight, till about 2 a.m. We then went to the diner, we wrote down our observations, and then we proceeded to drive home. And I was on 95. It was about 2:30 in the morning, and police officer pulls me over. I'm like, oh boy. And he has me roll down my window, and he sees in the back of my car video cameras, tennis bags, rackets, balls, the Guinness World Record stuff. And he said, where are you coming from? I said, Weston Racket Club. He said, and what were you doing? I said, well, I don't think you're really going to believe it. He goes, try me. I've heard a lot of weird things. I said, well, we were trying to reset the Guinness World Record for the longest tennis rally. He goes, how long was that? Well, it was like over 14 hours. He goes, no kidding. Well, get out of your car, though. So, get out of my car. He goes, do you know why I pulled you over? I said, I don't know, maybe I was a little tired and I was kind of swerving. I was tired. And he said, no, I'm pulling you over because the light above your license plate is burnt out. And according to Connecticut law, you have to have your license plate illuminated. So, that was a $118 lesson. If you learn nothing else from today, make sure to tell your parents that the light bulb above your license plate must be working. So then, August 8th came, which was Roger Federer's birthday. He was the world's best player. And we start our world record rally at 9 a.m. at Weston Racket Club in Weston, Connecticut. Remember, the goal was number of strokes, 50,970. We had to average more than 5,000 an hour, one attempt on August 8th. So that was the most nerve-wracking serve I ever had to hit. I served it. He returned it. I hit the approach, came in, and we proceeded to rally just like this. We used the same songs that we had used in training for the year before in 2014-15. And believe me, those songs got tired and old after a while. But we rallied like this for 5 hours and 28 minutes.
And by that time, I was hitting a two-handed volley like we had practiced. As the pain had set in, Angelo was still hitting a one-handed volley. But his wrist was really tired, and each volley was closer and closer to the net. And we had practiced that if the ball was too close to the net, and you think you might touch the net or go over it, it's better to let the ball bounce. So we had practiced that, but we didn't practice that technique after 5.5 hours. So one of his volleys was really short. Really short. I let it bounce. And I tried to hit a two-handed volley, and I hit it the same way that I'd been hitting it for 5.5 hours, right into the net. I was devastated. In fact, I was in shock. I couldn't talk. The Harborside newspaper reporter started trying to interview us. I didn't have anything to say, so we interviewed him. And he goes, talk to him. And so then afterwards, we're like totally depressed when you try to achieve something and you don't. But that's it positive. We made lemonade out of lemons. We said, you know what? We raised a lot of awareness and money for charity. We raised over $100,000 to Save the Children. We didn't win the $1 million prize. But what's more important than setting the record is making people care about good causes like Save the Children.
And so, in life, sometimes when you aim for the moon, you just reach the stars. There's always a silver lining in anything you do. And usually, the silver lining is greater than something you ever thought possible. So Guinness World Records recontacted us after August 8th, and they informed us that we set a new world record for the longest tennis volley rally. Unbeknownst to us, we had never let the ball bounce when we rallied for 30,576 consecutive volleys. And if you know tennis, a rally is when you let the ball bounce or take it out of the air, but a volley is when you don't let the ball bounce. And we said, well, what about the Germans? The Germans only volley 10,000 strokes without letting it bounce because they went up to the net, did the little volley, went back to mini tennis to get a break, and then came back up, and that's how they set the record. So we set a new Guinness World Record for the longest tennis volley rally, and if you look on page 102 of the 2017 edition of Guinness World Records, and I see a couple of copies there, we're happy to sign them later, we set a new world record. So that was our second world record. So. This is the certificate. You can look at it. We're going to leave it up front. I'll leave it right here. But that's the official certificate from Guinness World Record for our second world record.
So we'll leave you with a couple of final thoughts. One is, don't be afraid to fail. In school, in tennis, or in life. Because failure is how you learn to succeed. As Michael Jordan said, he's missed more shots than he's made. And yet, he's arguably the best basketball player of all time. So, if you fail and you change something or you learn from failure, then that is winning. That is success.
I have a handout for all of you in just a second. And on here is a couple of tips and recaps of what we talked about. And some of these are going to be in our trivia answers for prizes, which we're going to get to in just a second. But we talked about the 4 G's. So the first one is get a dream. If you don't have a dream, get one. And that needs to be big. It needs to be something that inspires you every morning to get up early and get out of bed and not press snooze. And then the second is goal set. So you want to then set a goal. So let's say, for example, you want to set a world record, and then a goal would be, okay, what am I good at, and what can I do that I can possibly achieve that dream? So goal set, devise a plan. Then goal get. There's simple, small steps that you do. And notice that we had some short-term goals, and you celebrate those small successes every day. So if you're a little bit better today than yesterday, that's a big accomplishment. And then finally, give back. When you do reach your goals and dreams, it's great to give back. And that's what we're doing here today, is volunteering our time to hopefully inspire you to do great things. And then finally, breaking down the word goals is a simple way to figure out how to achieve them. So the word G in goals stands for grand. Your dream has to be huge. You should put it up on a board in your bedroom. Put pictures, put inspirational quotes that relate to your dream. So that way, before you go to bed at night, you dream about your goal, and then when you wake up in the morning, you're confronted with your goal and you're thinking about how you can accomplish it during the day. Then there's O. O is optimistic. You want to have the self-belief that you can do this. And if you don't believe you can do it, find people that support you and then talk to them and have them encourage you, whether it's a mentor, a teacher, or a coach. So you want to be optimistic. Then achievable. It needs to be realistic. The goal needs to be realistic. So for me, winning a Grand Slam is not realistic because I would have to do too much traveling. And I have a wife and 2 children. I couldn't possibly travel the world at this stage, but I could set a world record. So you want to be achievable, and also the A stands for accountable. You want to have someone keep you accountable to your dream and your goal. L stands for long-term, and S stands for short-term. You want to have short and long-term goals, which are the GPS to your dreams. That helps you to make sure you're on the right path to where you're going. So a dream is something that's not necessarily quantifiable, but you have specific goals. Some of our goals, as you recall, were a rally for an hour without missing, test new volley rally concepts, lose 20 pounds, lower my cholesterol, set the previous world record in practice, rally past midnight, rally for 3 hours without missing. Those were some short-term goals that X-Ray and I accomplished before we set the world record. So I'm going to pass this around. Pass these around. Okay, rally. Okay. Oh yeah, you could pick these up on your way out because now we're going to rally. So we have prizes and we have trivia for prizes in the rally. Ed, you want to do the trivia first?
Trivia.
Yeah. Okay. The trivia first. The trivia first. Grab that box there. Okay. So where does X-Ray work? Raise your hand. What organization? Save the Children. Yes, what's your name? Ava? Ava gets a prize. All right, Ava. Okay, so. Ava. Great job. Okay, does anybody know where I work? We kind of mentioned it. I live in Hamden, but I don't work there.
Weston, Tennessee.
Yes, Weston Racking Club. What's your name? Brendan. Congratulations. What was the rally count for the first world record that we set?
5,944.
Yes, what's your name? Samantha. Great job. 25,944 strokes. That was awesome. How long did that take?
14 hours and 31 minutes.
Yes, what was your name again? Nice job, Katie. Awesome, awesome. Okay, let's see. How
You
do
kids
you
are good at
spell?
math. Like, there must be a really good math teacher here.
There's 2 of them. You know, I have it coming from both sides.
How do you spell his last name?
R-O-S-S-E-T-T-I.
Yes.
Whoa, that was nice.
Luke, congratulations. Okay, in what year did we fail twice to set the first world record? Yes, 2007. Okay, wait, I'm going to give you another one. Hold on, hold on. In what year did we set the first world record? Nope.
Still Spain.
Yes, what's your name? Anna. Congratulations, Anna. And what year did we set the second world record?
2009.
No.
2015.
Yes. What's your name?
Jackson.
Jackson. Good job, Jackson. From what country was the world record holders that broke our record? Yes. Good. And what's the name of my wife? Pamela Rossetti. Yes. And do you like Mrs. Rossetti's class?
Yes.
Yes. Good. Okay. So, where do I live? What city? Yes. And what's your name? Matt. Good job, Matt. Okay. Do you? Hold on. Back there.
All right, I got one. And we'll focus on towards the back row a little bit, past that red line. Okay.
And if you already got a prize, don't answer, okay? So we can do
Tennis. What score is low? 0. What's your name? Okay, awesome.
And what does deuce mean in tennis? No, not 20.